Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Just trying to get in here early to test things out. I think it's my first time going live. Figure out what I'm doing. All right, thank you. Hello, Sam in the fifth element. If I'm reading that correctly. How you guys doing? Moderators, how you all feeling? How y'all doing? Oh, that's interesting. Sam. Sad to say I don't have any gloves. Sorry. Yeah, I typically use gloves when I'm cleaning my home. I feel that fifth element. I feel that so much. I get it. I think we got another minute and we can get started. All right. So I want to start off by saying good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining my very first live, my first Q&A live. We're going to go ahead and just get started, seeing as the live is contingent upon you all asking me, hopefully not so intrusive questions, but trying to just get to know me a little bit more. Please feel free to ask. I will ask that everyone just be respectful of YouTube rules and guidelines, and also to our moderators in the chat. They will, do what they need to if you get out of line. So keep it clean, keep it nice, keep it light. Should be all right. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. What questions do you guys have for me? Okay, so Sam says, while you're live streaming, would you wear the cleaning gloves on both hands just for me? Wow. I'm sorry, Sam. I can't do that for you. No favoritism on this channel. But good question. Okay, so Wargamer Ape says, trying to enjoy the good times while they last and thinking on them during the bad times. Okay. Sign up for 5 classes at Udemy online. Living a new skill. Good option. Okay. Thanks for sharing that fifth element. All right. Any questions for me, guys? Outside of the gloves, Sam? Thank you, moderators. Well, I mean, I guess if no one has any questions about this world, okay. No, I know that's something that's definitely going on in the public right now. But I like to just redirect the chat back to why we're here, which is, again, Q&A session. If you have any questions for me, to try to get to know me a little better. If not, I guess I'll just go down a little preliminary list about myself. Maybe get the juices flowing a little bit in that department. I'll give you guys another second. Okay. Well, maybe you guys are a little shy. That's okay. I'm a little shy myself sometimes too. Um, oh, thank you. um, okay, so a little about me. Name's Ashley. Um, I guess fun fact that you may not know about me was I was actually named after Richard Ashley, the singer. My mother really liked his music at the time, or at least that's what I was told. And ironically, I actually like his music. Let's see. I was originally born and raised in Florida. So, yeah, there's that. And favorite color is yellow. I'm an Aquarius. Um, for anybody that's into astrology or anything like that. And I'm open to, again, any questions. Oh, astrologist. Okay, awesome. So, what's your sign, fifth element, if you don't mind my asking? Oh, okay. Dope. I'm still learning a little bit more about the houses and stuff like that. So I'm not. I'm like I'm knowledgeable about astrology, but not like super in depth. But cool beans all the way. Forensic astrology. Okay. Yeah, I figured that I do this Q&A because I know I just kind of jumped into some of the life experiences that I have been going through or have gotten through, and I just felt like I really wanted to share that information and get it out there. I wasn't aware at the time that the gang stalking series would do as well as it did, and that there's actually a big community um, of targeted individuals and stuff like that who already have their information or experiences on YouTube. So I'm not saying that I thought I was the only one, but I definitely wasn't aware that there was such a big community of supporters and people and survivors essentially who are just, trying to put their experiences out there. The Gang Saga series was never supposed to be like a focal point of my channel, but I am open to continuing, updating on that as things come up because, of course, as a TI, stuff like that doesn't stop really. I know it hasn't stopped for me, but I still am choosing to just do my best to focus on positive things and not get so caught up in it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some days it still gets me, but I'm working on not worrying about it so much. Like at the end of the day, it's like, what really can you do besides just, continuing to live your life? Trying to think what else. My inspiration for my channel was sprung from those experiences, but also just from a long line of things that I've encountered that I've always felt was kind of unique to me. And I recognize that most of the time people would tend to ask me like my opinion about things, and when I would share certain experiences they would always seem super intrigued. So I recognize that maybe there is a space for me on this platform to be able to share those things with people who are with like-minded people who are interested, and then also whomever I can help. I do hope to grow my channel to be able to provide services, whether that be like sessions where we can, I can just be a listening ear or advice or anything like that. And also just, maybe merchandise or whatever later, like later down the line. But right now, my main focus is just growing my channel, staying consistent, and continuing to try to spread positivity as best I can. Like again, I'm human. I mess up. I have my days, but I really do try to ground myself on positivity as much as I can. Yes, it is. I agree. Working right, ape. It can be spiritually, mentally draining, financially draining if you let it. It can be really tough, but only the strong survive in this world. So there's that. Yeah. I've actually never heard of that. Um, based on chart comparison. Are you referring to astrology when you say chart comparison? And like personality, like a profile type of thing? Yes. Okay. Um, Not gonna lie to you. I'm not super invested, at least not anymore, at digging into the mental inner workings of individuals who do those things. In the beginning, I probably would have been all for it, but now not so much, just because I recognize that knowing all of that, I don't feel like would change my experience. I do believe in like, yeah, you can know it's only so much with that information that you can do with it, becoming them essentially. Like, and that's not what I want. Like, it's okay to know preliminary information to protect yourself, but I'm not trying to dig too deep into their psyches. Like people like that just need mental help. That's how I personally feel. And I'd rather leave that to the professionals to assess and all that. But thank you for offering. I think, and I wish you luck on your endeavor. Say, any more questions for me? Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your statement. I thought you were referring to the gang stalkers. I'm sorry. I don't know how I misread that. You're I don't know. Like, I feel like with that, it would be a challenge getting TIs to want to give up that information just because our privacy and stuff like that is already so limited. Or at least speaking for myself, I feel like, privacy is power, as much as you can have it. But I get what you mean, like trying to just kind of be like a warning system. But again, it's like, I think in order to do something like that, we would have to figure out what the similarities are that certain, or that all TIs have in common, that they're being targeted in the first place. Because I feel like there has to be a common denominator that makes a target to begin with, even more so beyond maybe being a chosen individual or bloodlines or whatever. I mean, these are just some things I've researched and I've heard in the TI community and Grapevine, but I'm not necessarily sure what it is that sets TIs apart from everyone else that makes them a target. Um, as far as the trauma behind it, again, I feel like that's like it's something we really can't control. Like, it's okay to, wish the best for people, but trying to intervene in every situation, every TI situation, I don't feel like is what's the word I'm looking for? Would be realistic. Like, it's in a perfect world, absolutely, I would be 100% on board. But again, you have to be prepared for people who may or may not even want to, give out their information, which again is completely understandable. Oh wow. Okay. I hope you're okay. Um, yeah, here, TI, not in the fight. I mean, again, if that's your endeavor and that's what your crew say that you want to take on, definitely do that. I'm never gonna tell someone not to pursue that. I'm just saying that I personally don't feel like that's something that is what I'm looking to do. I do want to help, but in my own way. Okay. So kind of like a premonition to the TI, because again, wouldn't that still involve you like finding out their personal information to contact them? And my concern with that would be being mistaken for a gang stalker because of the manner that you might come to them, even if it's to help. People I know myself, I personally would be like, oh, like, wait a minute, I don't know you. But that's what makes this whole thing so tricky. With being a TI, it's really hard to know who to trust. But again, this is just my opinion. You could probably ask others in the TI community, and they might have varying opinions or feelings about it. Like I said, I know I am fairly new to the TI community and front, and I know that there are other individuals been doing this a lot longer than myself, and who probably have way more experience than myself. But I definitely think if that's what your heart is set on to do it. I'm not against it for you. I'm not sure. Like, that's something that I ponder myself. I don't know if you're a person who believes in the Bible, so to speak, but I kind of use the Bible as a reference on some things. Um, just how, it states that some individuals would be set apart from other individuals, and that those who belong to God or the Most High or whatnot would have specific marks or different characteristics about them that would set them apart from those who aren't chosen or God's favorites or whatever you want to call it. And then when it comes to getting a volunteer, like, that'd be great. Man, I can't believe it's been 32 minutes already. I feel like we just started still. Um, but no, good points. The Fifth Element, like, I hear you 100%. I'm not sure. I mean, I know from things that I've researched that birthmarks can have spiritual significance, but again, I'm not sure how valid that is. And like you said, it would be a situation of like getting everyone together and like just playing the game of, okay, what do we all have in common? Do you have a birthmark? Do you have a birthmark? Like, that's what it would take. But I feel like it's more so something in us, not necessarily on us, if that makes sense. Maybe it's our character, the way that we carry ourselves throughout this world. Like, naturally, if you're a person who is nonconformist to a lot of things, I know I tend to put myself in that category. I don't really subscribe to a lot of the modern day cultures. Here in America, which is where I am. I'm not sure where you are, but I don't tend to vibe with a lot of the things that go on here. And I've been learning more and more that I'm not alone in that scenario. So it's kind of that whole, you get ostracized because you don't do what everyone else is doing. And that's the type of person I've always been. I've always been someone who marches to the beat of my own drum. And I know that can kind of rub people the wrong way. Um, but it's never been from an intentional standpoint, at least for me. I don't know about you. Like, if you feel like you're a person who is kind of nonconformist, you just kind of do your own thing, you're free spirited. Um, that's what I'm saying. It's too many variables to really just pinpoint one thing. But I would definitely be open in the future, to sitting down with, TIs who agree to share, like, again, like, if you're able to get this thing kicked off and other people are on board, I would be open to that in the future. But in this moment, not necessarily, just because I feel like I still have so much to learn, and I still have so much to, I guess, kind of get up to speed on. So right now, I'm just kind of like, probably like most of us, I'm in the research phase. I'm trying I can, um, while trying to stay safe, keeping my family safe, keeping my mental good. It's a whole, with this whole TI business. It affects every facet of your life if you let it. And I know sometimes it can happen even if you don't let it. Like, that's just life. Things come up and they happen. Um, I would say elementary was definitely I want to say my very like first 3 years of elementary were tough, but it was more so due to things going on, out of my control. I won't say that I don't believe I got called out often. I don't recall being called out often, but I do know that I had a hard time like managing my emotions even as a child. Um, I've never been, I don't believe I've ever been tested for IQ or anything like that. During those times, I can't be 100% sure because I was so young. Um, and you say you have zero friends, like I second that. Like, and again, from what I'm understanding, that's not uncommon amongst TIs. I know not everyone has that experience, but the vast majority tend to be um, friendless or just have a very small knit group that they hang with or that a trusted group that they have. And yeah, I also too have been known to do a door slammer or two on people. Pretty much for me, if I feel like people aren't being authentic, I just remove myself. Especially in these days and times, like I don't have time for the games and that people like to play. And especially when you can just sense that people are trying to just get into your space or your energy just to learn things about you that they can take back to whomever they're reporting to or whatever. The source, I have some suspicions. Again, nothing is finite. And as far as single, like no, because if it was a single, it would just be a gang, it would just be a stalker. But no, mine specifically is gang stalkers. It's I feel like it's a little more organized than I originally thought that it was. As I stated in my series, I thought it was just a handful of neighbors who had grievances with me, but I have quickly learned that from moving from California to where I am now, like it's crossed state lines. And that's when I realized, like, no, this is something that's a little more insidious than I may have intended. And I also no longer believe, since putting out those videos, I also no longer believe that the neighbors there were the start of all of this. In truth, I believe I've been a target since I was a child. That's mostly been because I've been doing again my own digging in my own past, my birth story and stuff, and there's just some things that don't add up, that don't make sense. So um but like I said, I didn't really recognize it until uh what was it, 2023, 2022. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gotta keep up with the chat. Yep, I agree. Keep your circle small. War Gamer 8. Yep. Yeah, and that's true. Smile has your best interest. I agree. Not everyone that comes in your face and is around you wants the best for you. And I think that's a lesson that I've had to learn the absolute hard way. Because I've always been more so that, you know, I want the best for people just like people should want the best for me, but that's not always been the case. All right, what did you say? Um, um, for me, I too am very good at picking up on body language, but it's not from study. It's literally just been from numerous experiences, and then like I talked about in my series, like traumatic experiences I endured as a child. I had to quickly assess situations. I um, became hyper vigilant because of a lot of that trauma. So it's just like another, you know, skill in my tool bag that I developed over the years. However, I do feel like this is the most I've had to flex that muscle, if that makes sense. It's not something that I want to do, but it's just something that's so inherent to me now. Like I can't help but notice things. And it's not because I oftentimes go out just looking, okay, I know they're doing this, they're doing like I just notice it. And then as far as in the past, I would just not say anything and just, oh, okay, and keep going. But now like I have to say things because otherwise I internalize it, especially if I feel like it's like coming from a place of malicious intent. Um, and I used to, internalize a lot of those negative interactions. So that's how I offload, the stress of it is by calling it out. And then sometimes going on a mini rant about it all day long in my house, if I'm being completely honest, because my home is my sanctuary, it's my safe space. That's most of the time where I get all my stuff out at, which I don't feel like is a negative thing because it's the opposite of that would be exploding on everyone that I feel like is coming at me, and that's of course not acceptable. So I don't want to walk around being a ticking time bomb. Like that's not fun to live that way either. Let me see. You said check in. I mean, I can attest that yeah, people do some strange things. I don't know why people do the things that they do. But I'm just like I said, I'm just trying to get better at, calling it out if I see it and then just moving along. But ultimately I'm trying to get back to just not even really paying it any mind because it doesn't really impact my day unless I let it. Oh, hello, Truth Rises. Welcome in. Big callings on our last. I agree. I definitely agree. And discernment, yes. AKA I call it my intuition. I agree. Say any questions for me or any more questions? Which I want to say thank you guys for attending. And thank you for those who participated in here with me asking questions. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're learning something about me if you that you didn't know or that you're interested in knowing. Let's see. I guess while you guys are brainstorming, let's see what's something else I can share. Hmm. I know that I feel like this is so like elementary, but like my favorite flower is the sunflower. Um, I never really knew why I gravitated towards the sunflower, but I just always have. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I learned all of the different uses for the sunflower. Like I didn't know it could be medicinal. I didn't know, it could be a food source. I mean, outside of sunflower seeds, of course, but it has so many different properties that are beneficial to us. And I don't know, I just always thought it was a neat flower. I always loved learning about how it faces the sun. Like that's kind of how I try to be. I just try to keep my head forward to the sky, facing the sun, and just keep going. Something else I can share. So I guess back to my channel. Um, I've talked a little bit about the gang stalking series that I've done so far. And as I've stated earlier, I do intend to possibly update on that in the future as things kind of die down a little bit. But as far as my other playlist, which is the life, or no, excuse me, which is my inspirational. Is there anything there that you guys would like to see more of, or topics for me to talk about that you feel like you just, that would help pick you up a little bit? Energy weapons. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be sure if I have. I have my suspicions about certain things. I've had one encounter where I noticed like a beam of light coming through my window. And I noticed that my moods during that time were a little erratic. I don't know if that's a correlation because I know correlation doesn't equal causation, but possibly. I mean, V2K, I recently learned about. I can't say for sure that I've experienced that. I don't believe I have. Burns and aches in your body. No, I can't say that I have. Is that something you've experienced? I know as we are winding down the time here, um, I'm getting ready to close out soon. So if you do have any other questions, now would be a good time to ask away. And then before we close out, I have a question I want to ask you all. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I do experience ringing in the ears, and I know most people say it's like tinnitus or whatever, but I've been assessed for that, and ears were fine. So I was never aware of the spiritual aspects behind ringing of the ears, but I believe that it probably is more so on a spiritual note, especially since I've cleared it with doctors and stuff like that. But I'm hoping that I don't know, that might be something that we all might share in common. I feel like maybe the tactics or the harassment might vary from TI to TI, but I feel like overall, collectively, we're all experiencing it together. You get what I if you get what I mean. Um, and I also feel like there's like a season for it where sometimes the antics are a little higher than others or other times. Or at least that's what I feel like has been reflected for my personal situation. Again, still fairly new to all of this, or at least being consciously aware of it now. Because as I stated, I do feel that looking back at my past now, I do feel like it's something I've been dealing with since my youth, and not just actual harassment, like in terms of V2K and physical ailments, but just the way I know for sure how people have treated me or handled me throughout my youth on up has always been very telling. I used to struggle a lot with how people perceive me because I just felt like nothing I did was enough. But I know now, knowing what I know now, I know better. But thank you for sharing. Like, I know this stuff is not easy to talk about sometimes. No, and I agree with you. I feel like I personally have been on my shadow work journey since 2018, trying to unpack a lot of the traumas that I felt like were holding me back in my life, and just wrongs that have been done to me that I struggled to get through and get past, no matter how hard I tried. And I've learned a lot about myself through that journey, and I do feel like it is vital for everyone to be introspective and to go within, to one by one dismantle all of those things that might be holding us back energetically, as well as like mentally, physically, traumas, past experiences, stuff like that. Like, I 100% agree. And I think that's what our world suffers from the most, is just no one wanting to do the work. They rather project their shortcomings on other people, which of course is not okay. I mean, I try my hardest not to be like that, but again, catch me on a bad day. Like, I feel like everyone has their limits. I know I have a pretty good threshold when it comes to my patience, but even mine wears thin sometimes. But I think doing the shadow work, you learn your triggers, you learn to stay away from those things that would trigger you or cause you to get upset, or people. Sometimes that's where that whole, closing the door on some people, you got to let some people go, got to cut some people off, like, but it's for your, best interest. And it's not an easy thing to do, but sometimes it is necessary. But good points, everybody. Like, you guys really came ready to get into it. Let's see. Trying to think, or I guess last call for any more questions. I'm gonna be closing up shop here soon before I ask my question, or my final question, I should say. No, I agree. It does need to stop. And I too am learning to find joy in being persecuted. Um, it's not fun, but oh, you too, Element. You have a good night as well. But no, I agree. Um, in the beginning, when all this started for me, I was not happy about it. But it did make me have to look at myself and ask myself why I was allowing it to rattle me the way that it was. And I definitely was able to uncover some, things about myself that I was like, oh wow. So now I know why them doing that made me feel like this. Um, and it's not an easy thing to have to go within and check yourself, so to speak. But for me, I've been doing it for so long. Like, it's once I tap in and truly just solidify that I want to get down to the bottom of something, like, I'm not gonna stop until I figure it out. And that's just how I've always been. I always feel like I have to know the whys. And that's what's also got me like caught up and stuck in certain cycles, because it's like, oh, why? But I know sometimes things just happen. There's not necessarily always an answer. Well, I want to thank everyone who has joined in for the Q&A session, and I really did appreciate and enjoy what we were talking about here. Hopefully next time, uh, I might just set it up a little differently where you guys can preliminarily submit your questions in advance. So that way I can just be answering and I'll be standing here with all this silence. But I really do thank you all for joining. Oh, hold on. We got a lot of people have familiar spirits on you. When they see you work on that, you set yourself apart. I agree. I agree. A lot of hateration going on. I know that's an older term, but yeah, some people are good with you being where you are or doing good until you're doing better than them, and then it's a problem. But yeah, to wrap up, I did have a question for you all, and that question was just basically going to be about the channel content. I think I asked it earlier, but I'll restate it. If there's any other topics or levels of inspiration that you guys feel like you could use or that you'd like to hear me speak more about, that you would be interested in. I know I tend to have varying degrees of interest. I'm into metaphysics. I'm into ancient texts. I'm into just a vast majority of things. So nothing gets too weird for me. If that's the type of stuff you guys are also into. But I just wondered if there was any other things that you guys would like to hear me talk more on, or any suggestions. Oh, hello. I'm sorry, I was getting ready to close out. Welcome in. Oh, your new sub. Thank you. Yeah, we're actually talking about gang stalking related things earlier on. So yeah, no one got anything for me. I mean, if you guys are okay with how it's been going, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Oh yeah, which I totally forgot. Um, you guys have a name, my Phoenixes. So hello, Phoenixes. Or about to sign off, but goodbye, I guess. Soon to be. Yeah, I tend to be a little airheaded sometimes. Yep. I agree, War Gamer 8. That's very true. I feel like there are a lot of truths that are hidden, um, mostly in plain sight because they know most people won't, just do that little extra legwork. But I'm not most people. And I'm assuming you guys aren't either. I get the vibe that you all, like myself, just want the truth and nothing but the truth. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing to be ashamed of or anything. Like, I just feel like our world kind of punishes people for trying to live truthfully and being themselves 100% authentically. But as long as you're willing to go to status quo, no one has a problem. But okay, I've done enough jibber jabbering. Thank you all once more. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Until next time, see ya.